Bava Basra, Layachbar, FaceDaf Live. Bava Basra Chav Dalet, Amar Aleph. We are right now in the sugya of Raiv and Karaiv. So, and who started this all? Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chanina said that when you're not sure which principle to apply, going by after the majority or going by what's closer, you go by majority. And we were chucking questions back and forth about this. So we are Chav Dalet and Aleph, 4 lines down. Actually, 3 lines down. Amar Abaye says, Afana Nami Tanina. We actually have a Mishnah which will also be showing this principle of Rabbi Chanina that you go by the majority over Karev. Afana Nami Tanina. Kerebi Chanina, Af Ana Nami Tanina, Kerebi Chanina. Deraiv v'karav alach acharaiv. Dam shenimtza bepraisdar. So this is a nida sugya. It has to do with it's an anatomy thing which does not really go with our contemporary understanding. I think some Sefer says this. I think Art Scroll quotes him in their English, but not in their Hebrew. ... Dam shenimtza bepraisdar. So blood is found in the corridor. Sveikai tamei. We're not really sure where it's from, but it's going to be tamei. Shechazkasa min hamekar. Because the chazaka is that it's coming from the mikar, the womb. Nimtza bepraisdar, nimtza dam leisha ben kaisei rechami b'chutz akari beis hachitzayin. Sveikai tamei safek zeh. Tamei tuma vada'is. Midiktani shechazkasa min hamekar. Uma sveikai yesh kan. Well, Reisha demas nizim zechas nida mashal mashlo be'isha. This is an analogy. Hacheder. There's the room. V'apraiser, the corridor. V'aliyah, in the attic. Dam hacheder tamei v'amikar. The innermost, the chamber, the room is the womb. Umefaresh begemara. Hacheder mi b'fnim b'ivikufa l'tzad achay re'av ha'praiser mi b'chutz ha'paneh v'aliyah b'nei agabi shneihem v'damu aliyah tar v'lu b'suach mi aliyah l'praiser k'tanim s'b'praiser cheskas min ukar that Zavi has l'chutz ha'yov v'raiv damim mitzuyim b'ay v'layam aminu aliyah not that derech ha'lovav v'gav aliyah kar v'praiser shal gabay. So even though the attic on top is closer for the blood to have come from, but there is a raiv of the blood is going to be coming from the Makar. Even though you have the attic which is closer. So therefore, Abaye says that's a raya Rabbi Chanina. Rava, no, Rava says, Revu matzoi ka'amrit? Revu matzoi leklaman ta'amar. That's not Raiv and Karaiv. That is Raiv umatzoi, and that is something which everyone would agree to. Revu matzoi zek Rashi. Mikar, the Mikar, Dam of Rabbi, Yesim Shal Aliyah Va'ein, Tadir and Laws of Misham, Udmei Aliyah, Ain Tadir and Latzeis, Balakaman, the Palagai Bichanina. It's not just about Raiv, it's Raiv Matsoi. It's the majority and it's common, as opposed to the blood coming from the Aliyah, which is uncommon. The Tanya Vichia. Dominance of the price, there are blood that's found in that area. It's not just Safek Tuma, it's Vaday Tuma. Chayav and Alav Abiyas Mikdash. We can say that someone who went to the base of Mikdash b'shegeg that way brings a carbon chatas, not an asham tali or something. Chayav and Alav Abiyas Mikdash leim misafkinan la kemei vichul and lazar the Vaday dam nidahu. But sarf and Alav Abiyas truma. If she touches truma, you burn it, which is something you would only do if you know that it's tamei. Sarf and Alav truma rashi leiminan Safek uva Thailand leichan b'lei sarfin. Period. We learn 3 things from Rabbi Chia. Shma mina, we learn Rive, Karev, halach achar rive, that when you have a choice between rive and karev, you go by the majority. We'll ask on that soon. Shma mina, achzik lebdam nida vadai tlas, ushma mina ruba de araisa. We also see that the principle of rive is mina Torah because of how we act on it. Ushma mina. And we also see from there that Isa Rabbi Zera, it's a riot to Rabbi Zera's din. What's his din? He says his din even when, and this is no longer that allegory, this is talking about meat that's found even when the gates of the country are closed. Rashi, that if you have 9 stores selling kosher and 1 selling treif, uvenimtza, if you find meat randomly, you don't know where it came from. So it's not that it was parish and you don't know which one it was parish from, but you found it, and that's when it's not kavua, it's called a parish. We're assuming it's a Jewish place but we can't say that there's a second rive of all the surrounding cities because the gates are closed at night. You only have a single rive to say it's good, which is rive ha'ir. There are some things which are going to require 2 rives. But you don't need that. How do you see that? Because I'm continuing in Rashi, right? You can't. There's no double rive. And we are positive that this dam came from the makar enough to say, yes, you can bring a carbon to the azar. Yes, you can burn truma that she touched. Frag the Gemara, the obvious screaming elephant in the room, kasha. Wait a minute. How can Rava say we see from there that Rav and Karv go by Rav? Rava said no, that case is not a classic Rav and Karv. That's a Rav Umatsui against the Karv. But Rava Amar Rav Umatsui like the Amar what on earth? Which the Gemara answers, Hadabe Rava Meahi. Obviously, Rava retracted it. Which one did he retract? I think it means he's going back from his kasha on Abaye, but I'm not sure. Itmar chavis shetzafa bin nahar. If you have a pitcher, a clay container that is found floating in the river, chavis shel yayin. Oh, and it's full and sealed, and there's wine in it. So we're not talking about the status of the chavis. We're talking about the status of the wine that's in it. Amarav Nimtzes connected Isha Ruba Yisrael Motar connected Isha Ruba Nachir Masira. Depends where it was found in the river. If it was found opposite a city that's mostly Jewish, it's going to be okay. Otherwise, no. Shmuel Amarav Nimtzes connected Isha Ruba Yisrael Asira. Shmuel says no because it's coming downstream. So you happen to find it opposite a Jewish city, but Amar, we could always say Me'ihi Dekira Asa. You came from Ihi Dekira. Was that? Ne'idikira Shem Mechai, so on the Har Praskam and Kedushin, the Indian Yuchsen, Uvegitten, Vein Somatsin Sham, Vulamala Mi Pras, Yuchel Chavis Life Misham, Etzlai, no. Okay. I am intrigued. I am intrigued about this Ihi Dekira thing. I'm searching Google for it. I'm wondering what it actually is. Ihi Dekira. Ihi Dekira. Hith. City in Iraq. It's called Hit in Iraq, straddling the Euphrates. City of Hit was originally a small walled town. Ooh. What day do you do perm there? It's the beginning of the high sedimentary plain of the Euphrates, like Rashi said. And the Wikipedia article, of course, is not mentioning anything Jewish because it wasn't a Jewish city. Okay, Dekira. Hit. Why do I feel that it's a ches? I don't know. Weitergegangen. Lema b'Rebbi Chanina kamiflagi. So let's say this machlekes. Rav and Shmuel is machlekes in Rebbi Chanina about Raiv v'Karev, because let's say Dekira is Raiv, but the city is Karev. Rav is mater it because he is saying that Raiv v'Karev we go by Karev, and Shmuel is going by Raiv. But is a Rebbi Chanina that would be Shmuel's answering it. Umar blessed Rebbi Chanina, and Rav is not going to Rebbi Chanina, and that's why he's mater it, because he's going by the close city. The Rashi Rav blessed Rebbi Chanina, was a korvo Shmuel, also was a ruba to slay Rebbi Chanina. Which the Gemara says, no, lie to Rebbi Chanina. You could say that everyone holds Rebbi Chanina, that you would go by Rav over Karev. What about the Rav of Dekira? No. Demar Savar im Isa. This would be Rav if you really would have think that Demei Dekira Asoi, you really think it came all the way from that non-kosher city? Kuliyuv Shuri Havamat Be'ila would have been sunken by the twistings and meltings. Sagt Rashi, Kuliyuv Shuri Havamat Be'ila, Mekamisesh Misham Vadkan, Trying Miss Aklin, Miss Galgalin, Kegalgal Makamechem, Machmas Kipe Aslam, Aruchim Abamatach Anar. So there's a place, it's like, I think is that technically called a cataract of a river, where there's like suddenly splashings and blashings. Ufshuri means the meltings. Hafshari shlagim hanikavim etzelan nahar. There's a lot of snow build up, especially higher up on the Euphrates, and it builds up by the river. Oh, wow. Vikavu, vikaimi, and it's like a swamp. So this is two very dramatic, different things to say. One is that the river is in such strong motion that it's going to be sinking things. And the other one is saying that it would be so incredibly calm that that it wouldn't get anywhere, which it's not a stira. It's just he's saying two different reasons why it wouldn't get here. Umar Savar, and Shmuel says Charifa Denara Nakat Va'asoi, that still the wind, the not the wind, but the strength of the river could still make something come from there, and therefore you by default go back to Rebbi Chanina of Rav and Karev, go by Rav. Karev the Denara Nakat Va'asoi Shama Mitchila Nafla Bem Tzois Anar B'Makam Chazka Mitzvah Samayim Evi Yosef Leinichua Lintas Yamanu Smile. That maybe it fell into the place where the current was strong and it didn't get stuck in the doldrums or get sunk. Okay. Hahu chatzva dechamer deshakach bepardisa de arla. A pitcher of wine was found in an orchard that was before its third year. Arla. Bepardisa de arla bekarm shal arla. Sharyo Ravina. Ravina said it's kosher, not arla. Ravina v'lechashama mikarm zeg. Gonav hayayin zeh. That's an interesting word. Nignav. Okay. Lema mishum desavar la derbi chanina. Is it because is that because he holds that we're going to go by Rav Krumim in the world that aren't Arla? No. Shiny Asam di migniv minats nui begavele miksani. This picture was done illegally. Someone stole grapes from a vineyard and did it. So he wouldn't have stashed it in the same vineyard where he stole it. Sagt Rashi, the imadim mignev minai. Sui bagave lematzni, and the derech kanovim matzni yad makom she, bevu mishom shund misyare shema. Back to the Bach. Yimtsa'uhu derchei ho'anavim, because the wine stompers will find it. And the Gemara is saying, but that's only wine. Grapes, they might stash there. So therefore, if you found them in a karam of Arla, maybe we found grapes in a karam of Arla, maybe we would not go by Rav to be mat. Period. Hanu ziki de chamra. There were these sacks, jugs of wine. De ishtakhan be kufai. Zaklashi ziki noidais be kufai tmunim ben gefanim shvekarim v'ishal Yisrael. So Bekufai means grapevines, but I don't recognize that word. Sharanu Rava. So Sharanu Rava said it's mutter. Lema Sarvala Rabbi Chanina. What he doesn't hold of Rabbi Chanina. Lema Sarvala Rabbi Chanina. Lechacharev Elacharav Vikani Shamitsuim Yesiminachem Blezinam Basaruba da Alma. What? So these jugs of wine were found in a vineyard between the vines, and it was a Jewishly owned vineyard. Rava said it's mutter. That he's not going basarayv. In this vineyard, but not Ruba da Alma. But the Gemara says, Shiny Asam, Ruba de Shefchai, Yisrael Ninaho, that you have a rive in terms, not in terms of people in general, but in terms of people who are running around with these jugs of wine. Like Rashi de Shefchai Shefchayim in Achavis and Noides, Limkar La'ivre Dracham b'Medina. So it's Kimasayim v'az. And we're talking about where they are large containers. But if they're the small ones that are not wholesale, they're things that were being bought, and then you're going to go by Rav of the people around there. And if the Rav are not Jewish, it's going to be Aser. if there's some of the large wholesale ones with the small ones, Amor will say, Be'avruri havamanchi, that they're all okay because, we'll see Rashi, they were there to equal out the weight. Zot Rashi, the Shevchei in the Chavis and the Ritzim Kabel every Drachim Medina Zoy, sometimes the Azab Raver, the Leklam Mechastru, but the Alma memory, every Drachim Nafel V, Ikaravi Badai, of a Katana with the Bravi, Laver Chayt, every Drachim Alakulu. Milai Chayain Shamadina Zunen of Israel Hain Israel Hain Hakitanem Shein Derech Lilakech Yain Laviam Emer Bravi Avaman Chilash is Masach Marbashish Kishish Tein Noidis Egal Mizemem Machod Amasot Zad Echad Umanich Noid Noid Kota Netzle Lashis Amasa. Rashi is saying that if on the donkey you have two large jugs of wine and one of them is bigger than the other one and it's heavier, so things are going to be uneven. So you put another smaller one on the other side to even things out. Okay. Gewaltig. Weiter. Sagt the Mishnah, you got to keep a tree away from a city 25 amas. We've heard of this Mishnah several times until now, I believe. No. This is not about the roots coming and getting a wall. This is a different thing. This is about making the city look nice. My bad. It's to have an open space before the city, so you're not going to have trees densely against it. But by a carob or a sycamore, which are bigger trees, 50. Lots of branches. And Abba Shaul says any tree that is not bear fruit, 50 ames. Rashi says it doesn't look good for the city. Period. If the city was there first and the guy planted the tree wrongly, the city can chop it and not pay for it. If the tree was there first, but they're building a city there, so cities needs take precedence, they can cut it, but they have to pay for it. If you're not sure which came first, well, this is harsh, but you can cut the tree because anyways you're going to cut it. But you're not going to actually pay for it because that's a suffix. Okay. The Gemara asks a question. My time, what's the reason you have to keep a tree 25 amos away from the city? To make the city look nice. The Gemara. Why don't you learn it out? Because you're not allowed to turn planted areas into open areas or open into planted. So Rashi, that 1,000 amos outside of a city, you're not allowed to have it planted. It's meant to be open space. So it's the Gemara which answers tzricha. Use light. Tzricha Rabbi Lazar, maybe Rabbi Eliezer. Okay. You're going to need it according to Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer, the Amar Eitzen Sada Megash Sada. He says that you can, but here you can't do it to make the city look nice. You can't, even according to the Chacham, you can't turn a planted area into an open area for a city, and you can't flip open to planted. Hani mili zirayim, that's about a sada, like planting wheat. But you could plant trees within 1,000 amos of the city, and the Chiddush of Mishnah is not within 25. Of dinan. The Chichler be Elazar, the Palagasim Amar Bimad Amar Bar Yalavim Abar Yisrael. Hachir Sinan and Rashi the Rabban Adami and Esin Hanimili Bizarm of Bilanas Isim Besech Elef Am. The Hachir Besech Esim Bechamish Am Mishmai Ein Isim. Omina Temra. And how do you know if the shiny bein Zrain Lilan? It's the difference between whether it's something that's planted with grain as opposed to a tree. Tanya, we have a brisa. Karpef. The first time I learned this Gemara, I had no idea what a karpef was. It just felt like a type of cupcake. Karpef, Yosef Sayim Shekaf Ladira. Okay. I probably should do a visual for this. So Saimu Shir Chatzer HaMishkan. The Chatzer of the Mishkan was 50 by 100 amas. Then, so that would, in other words, if it's 50 by 100 amas, that's going to be 5,000 square amas. Chacham said that's the amount for a place that had walls put around it, but not for residence. Or you were planning on using it directly from a living place, but you're not. Like just an enclosed area in a valley. But if Rashi's just explaining, if the walls around it were built because the guy was living within it, even if it's humongo, a huge open space, but because it's for living in, then you don't have any of these halachas about not carrying things around in it on Shabbos. What we're saying here is so it's more than the 5,000 square amas, but the walls around it are meant for dwelling within it. Okay, you can carry in it on Shabbos. So So now, but what if Nizraruba? What if the majority of it gets planted with wheat? It becomes like a garden and it's forbidden to carry in on Shabbos. But if half of it is planted with trees, it's like a courtyard and it's mutter, and that's a raya that having trees is different than grain. So yipes, by having the majority of it planted, that removes its status as a living space. Now it's like a garden. Let me guess, we're going to change it to like hekefa, right? Yeah. She'ein hekefa ledira. But if it was planted mostly but having trees, it's not removing the living in status because it's geschmack to have a place with trees in it and living there. Fine. So the tree can be chopped down either way, just if the tree was there with permission, then the city came, whoever's in charge of the city would have to pay for it. Frak the Gemara. Maishna gabe bar. What's different here as opposed to a hole? Where you would pay, where you would chop it and pay for it, even if the tree was planted wrongly. Tadrashi Maishna gabe bar. Tibinanami Rachaka Oktani. Tani Bay. Ima Barakad Makaitsates Venais in Bala Bar Demea Elon the Bala Elon. So Omar Rav Kana says as an answer. Hainu Dari Inji, this is what people say. Kidra de Be Shutfi, a joint project. Lechamim of Lekrira. It's not completely abandoned, but it isn't finished either. Yeah, that was my bad translation. Literally, it means a joint-owned kettle isn't hot or cold. Rashi says, They both are relying on each other. Afkan Meir Elon Miyitne Mibasala Tilam Albanea Irkalachal Emer Mimani La Yaschil of them so Elon Emed Ver Miguna Vein Zutifaris Eretz Israel. Oh wow. So if it's just one guy in a pit, the guy will chop it down and pay for it. But if it's a big city, no one's gonna want to pay for it, and therefore the tree's gonna stay there, and that's a ganai. Okay. In fact, the Gemara on itself, my kusha. Wait, why do we have a kasha in the first place? That we needed to make up that answer. Dilma, maybe shiny azeka to rabim, azeka to yached. Maybe when you're damaging an entire city, it's different than damaging just one person, and that's why you don't have to pay when it's destroying a city, damaging the city's appearance. Umay kusha rashi mi barley air. It's directly shnuye yached. Dilma shiny has it to rabim, azeka to yached. Leichivu chachamim lakot zilanu shel bara yached. Whoops. Okay, so that's weird. The whole question that Rav Kahana is coming to answer, it can't be on the beginning of the Mishnah about where it gets that we're asking why is this different? Why is it that you pay here why is it that you don't pay here as opposed to when you pay for because Hezekat to Rab, Hezekat to Yachid. Itmar, the Rav Kahana, Seifa Itmar. It must be that Rav Kahana's whole statement was on the second part of the Mishnah, which was Ima Ilan Kadam, Kaititz V'Naisen Damim. If the tree was there first, he cuts it down and pays. Frak the Gemara, why? And the question Rav Kahana is coming to answer is the one about the order of things. It's cut and then it gets paid. Why can't the guy say to them, Avuli Bereisha Dame, pay me first for other acres and I'll cut it? Rav Kahana, kids Beshufi Lechamim of Lekrira. Lechamima in Basalahamtan and Matan Ma'is. If you have to wait until the money gets worked out. Ya my Irach Yamim B'nei Simchan Zel Zer Bali Ilan. Right Sebekach. The owner of the tree wants it to drag out. Lefikach. Yaakut's cut it now. V'achrekin you gave him my man best, and then he'll get the money. Okay. If you're not sure which came first, true. The city kites is innocent, you cut it and don't pay. But by a hole, when it's unclear whether the tree was there at first or the hole was first, we don't cut it. Which the Gemara says, awesome, Devadi Lav make it sky. Over there by a bar, it depends which one came first. If the tree was there first, you're not going to cut it. It's a suffix about cutting it. So so we're not going to say to cut it when we're not sure. But over here, divide the make it sky. We're not sure if it should be paid for or not, but it's definitely going to get cut. So sveikai, when we're not sure about the situation, now we say kites to cut it. If it comes to money, he has to prove that his tree was there first. Rashi says, Ilan. That in Vade Kadamav make it sky Tani. Milan Kadam Laikite, Svekai Nami Lay Omar Laikite, Shalan is a Klaviraya, Devadai. Why am I getting messages? Okay, nothing major. Hacha divided nami make it skoya shetotamim kinitani email and call them kites nice and tamim. Shekinami amalei kites b'manav shacha karcha uchshbal gavis tamim amalei asiraya dan kam misushkoil. Okay. I really, really hope that I'll have a chance to do a share tomorrow. I'm going to stop over here.